everybody, my name's Sue Bowler and today I want to show you how to make a Christmas wreath. And for that I'm going to be using this hula hoop. It measures around 75 centimetres. Obviously once we've added the balloons it's actually going to make it a lot bigger. I'm going to be using chrome gold and pearl red, a ruby red on this frame. So to make sure that you don't see the framework underneath the balloons, I'm going to wrap the framework first using 260Q. So I'm going to use a chrome gold 260Q. I'm literally just going to put a little puff of air into it. So we really don't want to make it very long and we want to make it very soft as well. And I'm just going to knot that. You don't actually need to knot it, but it might make it a little bit easier for you. So here we go. I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to push it onto the frame. Can you see I'm holding it with my thumb? I'm just going to squeeze the air out of the 260 and then I'm just going to keep on wrapping the hoop with the balloon, and as I go I stretch it, and you can see what happens is the air in the 260s will force its way down the 260Q and eventually we'll use it all up, but you'll see that as we get there. So I'm just going to keep doing that and wrap. And this is a really good method, especially if you don't want to completely cover the frame with all balloons. Say you wanted to use balloons and florals or greenery. By wrapping it, it means that when you actually add the florals or the greenery, again, you're not going to see the framework underneath. Okay, so you can see that there's only a tiny little bit of balloon left now. So I'm just going to take another balloon that I've already prepared and I'm just going to twist those two together, like so. Just ignore the one that's finished, just start working with the one that's the new one, and then just use that one just to wrap over where you've just literally been, and just keep going. You can get rid of this one afterwards. So we're just going to keep wrapping, and I'm just going to carry on doing this until it's finished. We'll just wrap over there. It doesn't matter if you have little bits like that, because you won't see those, but it's probably best not to start with that. So I've just let the air out. I'm just going to tie that one on to make sure that it's not going to come undone. And then with these ones, just carefully remove the air. And if I'm honest, do I worry about cutting these off? No, because when I add on my clusters onto here, I can just wrap those through for a little bit of extra security. You're not going to see those. If you're going to leave it exposed for greenery and florals, then potentially I would cut them back, get rid of that one, and then you wouldn't see them at all. So there's my frame, wrapped in gold, which is great. And now I'm going to prepare the balloons for the wreath. So now we're going to inflate the balloons. The balloons that we use have two different sizes. The reason for that is that when you're putting balloons onto a hoop, if we had all the balloons to the same size, the outer and the inner ring, then you would find that the inner balloons would get very squashed up because there's a smaller surface area to the inner hoop than there is to the outer hoop. So to stop that from happening, we're going to create some interesting clusters. So the first cluster we're going to use is going to be using two 7-inch chrome gold, and I'm going to inflate them using my twin air sizer. This is an automatic air inflator by Premium Balloon Accessories, and quite honestly it takes all the effort out of inflating balloons and it makes you so much quicker and more efficient. So I've put the nozzles on for 5-inch balloons. I've already set the size, the time for me to equate to a 5-inch inflation, so 0.8 on here. If I put my balloons on, let's try again. So I've got my 2 balloons, just going to give them a little squish, and as you can see they just slide through the 5-inch size, like so, slightly bigger than that. So there we go, and just tie those into the duplet. So that's going to make the 2 balloons on the outer edge. For the inner balloons, I'm going to use 5-inch pearl red, and I'm going to inflate those to 4 inches, which is the size I have here. And for that, I'm just going to knock the size down to 0.5. Let's pop those on there. And you can see that they just slide nicely through the 4-inch sizer. Okay. And just tie those into a duplet. Now, when I tie a duplet, I tie them very, very tight, so that when they're onto the frame, they sit really close and they can't stretch out of it. So let me just show you, when I put this on just together, how it's going to look. So you've got 2 big balloons on the outer edge and 2 smaller balloons on the inner edge. What I've done for this demonstration is I've kept all the big balloons in gold, chrome gold, and all the small balloons in pearl red, ruby red, because I think you'll identify it a lot easier. Obviously, when you go to make it, you can use any colours you want. You could use all one colour, you can mix colours, whatever. It's just for you to see the shape of it. Now, the next cluster is slightly different, because this is the one, you know, when you make a garland, you have 2 balloons and then one sits on top. So this is going to be that one there. So that one that sits on top is going to be the 5-inch, the chrome gold inflated to 5-inch. So we're going to go back to 0.8. We're also going to take a red, and we're going to, let me just show you, we're going to inflate those 2. So I've got my 5-inch, I know that that's 5-inch. This I want down to 4 inches, so I'm going to go to the same size as the inner one, and I'm just going to measure that one. The twin air doesn't allow you to inflate 2 balloons to different sizes at the same time, so it's easy to inflate the biggest balloon to the right size and then size the smaller balloon, and we're going to tie that into a duplet. So that's going to take that shape. We're going to match that up with another duplet using the red to 4 inches. So when we make this one up, let me show you, it's going to sit like that. So you're going to have one cluster like this and then one cluster like that. And if you see, when I put them together, how neatly they fit. So you've got all the 4-inch on the inner ring and all the 5-inch to the outer ring. So the next cluster is going to be this, then the following one this. So it's just those 2 cluster formats. So I'm just going to take those off, because I actually generally don't work on my frames in clusters before. I work with them in duplets, and I just twisted these on nice and tightly. There we go. There we go. And I'll just untwist those. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to add them to the frame. I'm just going to move the sizer off the table and bring my hoop back up, and I'll just demonstrate that now. So I'm going to start off by taking my first duplet of gold, and see these extra bits that I told you about earlier, leaving them on. This is the perfect opportunity to use one of those, just to twist that in so it holds it nicely in place. And then I'm going to lock that in position using the 2 red. Now, it's not going to sit flat, because to get to sit flat, it will need another cluster sitting on top of it. So it's just going to sit slightly at a strange angle. The next one, we'll take the gold, and this is where you're going to have to think a little bit. You're going to take this gold one underneath the hoop, and you're going to sit that red one next to it, like so. And then you're going to take the next red one, and you're going to use that to lock it in position. I'm just going to pull that round and push it up and lock it. And we're going to have that lovely shape. Okay, so let me try and show you. So you've got your duplet there of your gold and your single, and then if you look on the inside, you've got, squeezed together yet, but you've got your 2 and your 1, and it's basically that 2 in 1 pattern. So I'm just going to continue with that, and I'm just going to go on the opposite side, and I'll just talk you through this just for a little bit, and then I'll just carry on working quietly. Okay, so I'm just going to slide those on. position and then take the red and lock below. Excellent. Do the same again. Take that from underneath, bring that round. Oops, take it over and lock below. Okay, if I just quickly show you that, you should now start to see how cool that looks. So you've got your, basically your 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and the same again, you've got your 1, so you've got 2 there, and then 3, 1, and it just goes up and down as you go. Okay, so I shall just continue. Okay, so we're down to the last cluster. So I've got 2 the same here, 2 with the 2 gold up. So I need one of those with one of these. I'm just going to twist that in as a cluster of 4 because we've got a very narrow gap to get into. It's easy to pre-make your cluster of 4 rather than trying to do the duplicate method. So I'm just going to slide that in and pull it into position. Just pull that down. Get the 2 at the base first, a little bit on the tight side, hopefully you won't pop anything. And then we just need to reposition that one. There we go. Oh, I can believe it, I've actually managed to untwist it. Try again. Make it nice and tight. So here we go. Pull that in. There we go. Just get that one in. Right. Phew. There we are. As I said, a little bit tight, but that's fine. So just to finish off, just make sure all your balloons are sitting in the right position. So what I mean by that is if you look at it, you'll see you're up, down, up, down, up, down. That should be that's an up, that's a down. Just make sure they haven't moved out of position. Give them a little squeeze. And then just run your eye around the edge. So you should have your 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, I'm just going to check that and straighten up the red as I go, making sure that they are nicely, there we go, that one's not quite right, and that's absolutely perfect. Awesome. So here we go, there's your hoop. So it really does help by using the two different colours because you can see the small versus the large, but equally it's actually really quite attractive. You know, you could have put a different pattern into it. For example, what you could have done is when you did your up, so you got your 2 and your 1, that 1 could have been a different colour, so that could have been chrome green, for example. That would have looked really nice as well, so you'd have had it green, red and gold. So but you know, we can play around with that. I'm going to decorate it as well, just to give you the overall size now. So that's the 75cm hoop with our 4-inch balloons on the inside and the 5-inch on the outside. Now measures, this is diameter, 1 metre, which is actually a really good size for a hoop like this. So that looks really, really good. Okay, so there you go. Just to remind you, your cluster sizes, you had 2 like this, so 2 big, 2 small. When you're working with a small hoop like this, a 1-inch size difference is absolutely perfect. If you were putting it onto a big moon gate, then you could obviously do it differently. You could have a 2-inch size difference in your balloons, or even bigger. And then your other cluster is going to be, let me just quickly inflate 2 more. So there's your 4-inch, and there's your one big, 1 small, with a cluster of 2 small. So that's the cluster sizes that you're looking for to make it so that they lock in together and that you get that small inner ring. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll look to doing some decoration on it in a minute.